and welcome to episode 12 of the YarnderWoman podcast. My name is Melinda, I am YarnderWoman on Instagram and Ravelry, and I'm joined by everyone's favourite mama, Kathy.
Hello everybody.
We decided we would get an episode in for the first weekend of the new year, so happy 2015 to everyone. I hope you had an enjoyable New Year's Eve with whatever you were doing. I always find New Year's Eve is a little bit of a build-up of whatever. But we had quite a nice time. We took Sophie and her friend down to the marina, which is like a boardwalk, sheltered swimming area. So they swam, I knit on the beach, Damien did some comic reading on his phone and went on a couple of rides, and then we were home and did some sparklers on the alfresco area at midnight. So quiet night, but very pleasant and enjoyable, and that's all I felt like doing anyway. And on the first day of the year, I was all set to cast on a new project for the first of the year. And I had the yarn wound, I had my project bag picked out, went to find my needles. Could I find the needles? No. And 3 hours of searching for the first part of my first day of the year. Everyone else was still in bed asleep and I was up early because I decided I wanted to get up early and knit. 3 hours later, I could not find them. Actually even ordered some more needles online, so they're on the way, and then went, oh, I know where they are. So at least I found them, and we're going to look at the positives of that. But it wasn't quite what I had imagined. But that's okay that I have extra needles coming. It's always good to have spare needles, as would have helped me in this instance.
I wonder where she gets all that from.
Putting things in a safe place. I remember once when I was about 15 or 16, I was really into doing cross-stitch little kits, and one of our local shops had, remember the Beatrix Potter ones? Yes. So it was like one Beatrix Potter character per little kit, and they had them on special, so we saw them like in the middle of the year, and Mum said, oh, well, I'll buy it for you for Christmas. We didn't find that for a good 5 or 6 years later, because Mum had put it in a safe place. But anyway, with that, let's go and broach the subject. It's the year of the sheep, so what better brooch to wear to broach the subject for the first podcast of 2015? And I didn't have any sheep t-shirts or anything thematic to wear with it, so I've gone for my pirate yarn. Just see that one. This brooch is from Etsy. It's a relatively new seller to me, and I believe it's pronounced Dinjibor. I'll have to check, but I will, of course, as always, put the notes on the blog for where you can get it. This was actually sold as, Year of the Sheep, so that was a good one. And I just love how the little feet are, the little hooves. So cute. And one should always have sheep brooches, I feel.
Exactly, I've got 10.
Oh, there you go. I don't think she does really. But speaking of Year of the Sheep and it being a new year, I'm going to actually look through some of my crafting goals from last year and this year. So let's move on to that. Crafting goals. So last year was the first year that I had made an official list of my crafting goals, and I believe I got the idea from the Mustache podcast. I think Stacey had done one, and she actually made a project page on Ravelry to record them all, so I had done that for all of this year, so it stayed as an open work in progress at the top of my Ravelry project page. And then towards the end of last week I had a look through and have written down whether I achieved them, so let's find out. Are you excited?
Yes, can't wait.
Okay, my first goal for 2014 was knit only from stash, souvenir yarn purchases only. Now, we could be cynical and look at this as it being a big fail, because I bought quite a bit of yarn last year. But we could look at it as an interpretation of the word souvenir yarn purchases only, and that they were all souvenirs of various times of life. Tick! Not really. So that one wasn't quite a success, but it has made it onto the 2015 goal. And as I was saying last week, That's definitely forefront of my mind because I have so many pretties. Actually, just behind Mum and I, you can sort of see there's those tubs. I've got those all the way along there. They're all full of yarn. So. Another goal from last year was learn to do cables. So I didn't end up doing this, but not from avoidance. It's just that none of the projects I was doing had cables in them. So that one's moved on to 2015 as well. Knit a lace shawl. I didn't do a whole shawl with lace, but I did do some with lace as part of it, so tick. Knit a hooded cape, tick, made that for Sophie. Knit an adult garment, cardigan or vest, not yet, but that's this year. Knit Damien a scarf, tick. Knit birthday presents for my brother and sister-in-law. Didn't do birthday presents, but I did them both winter presents because their birthdays are in November, so that's coming into summer here, so it's limited use of things then. So I actually did them both fingerless gloves. Make ankle socks to wear with sneakers in my walk to work. So as part of my commute each day, I have probably about 45 minutes of walking. So I usually wear sneakers and then change my shoes when I get to work. So I wanted to make some more ankle socks so I could have hand knits. Don't think I actually finished any for me. I've just got one pair I've nearly finished that I'll show you shortly. But I did make lots of ankle socks for other people, so I have been perfecting the technique. So I consider that one tick. Finish the knitted teddies and either give them or donate to charity. Those are the ones I showed a couple of weeks ago, and so I've decided I'm not going to finish them, but I actually had a couple of people actually ask to have them. So those are on their way to Anya, and she will give them new life and they can live on through her, and it just means they're out of my hibernating. Isn't it funny because they're bears and they're hibernating? Do charity knitting with my work craft group. That's definitely a tick because we did a whole lot of donated things for the women's shelter that our office supports. So definitely going to continue that this year. Start sewing once Mum's sewing room is ready. Well, that didn't really happen because, well, both the sewing room was sort of ready and then I just didn't have the drive anyway. I was too busy focusing on knitted things. So, yeah, that's all right. And we've also bought those little template things to make with my niece, Mum's granddaughter. So we'll get some of that done. There's the rabbit for Emma, and I've got the Frida Kahlo doll. So we'll do those at some point this year. So all good. And my final goal for this year was, last year, was have all projects off the needles by the 31st of December. So they didn't all come off, but I have got plans for them. So we'll cover those in the next lot of crafting goals, which are 2015, the next one. So, as I was saying, I'm definitely planning to knit from my stash this year. I'm not going to say I'm going totally cold sheep because, don't want to set up for failure. But I'm definitely going to really, really limit things that I get. Do you know the term cold sheep? So it's like going cold turkey, but you say sheep because it's wool.
I was sitting here wondering, what a strange statement.
As opposed to refrigerated lamb steaks. But yes. So, so even though last year I really wanted to knit from stash and didn't, I feel like my stash has grown in a way that's much more suited to my taste and things I'm actually going to use. So I think even though there were purchases, they were quite mindful, not necessarily for specific projects, but just things that I know I'm going to use and that I like. So I think I'm in a very good place now to have that as my base. And if we go to any festivals or anything, we might get something as a souvenir. But there's not a lot of craft festivals in Australia generally in the same way that there seem to be in places like the United States or the UK. There is that craft fair in May. That's at one of the exhibition centres, but that's all kinds of craft, not just fibre craft. And you also have to pay $25 or $30 just to get in. But I think we might go this year. Yeah.
I've always enjoyed going.
Because even though it's not all crafts that I do, it's just great being around the crafts and everything. So we shall see. And there is also an alpaca festival or something in June, I think. And I was talking to Sherilyn, Carbon Soup, about that, so that might be good. Oh, it's around your birthday, so it'll be a birthday treat.
Very nice.
So, Sherilyn, you can come with us. But we'll work that out close to the time. So, as well as knitting from stash, I'd also like to knit more projects from my library on Ravelry, because I've got a lot of patterns in there, either free ones where usually if I see a free pattern I like, I just put it in the library in case it disappears for whatever reason. But I have a lot of paid patterns that I haven't used, and I think it'd be really good, instead of going and looking for a new pattern, go and see what I've got, because obviously I liked the things that are in there, or I wouldn't have bought them. So it's a good place to go and start to have that as the basis for things. Have my Ravelry queue organised and refined or culled by the end of January. So I've already started doing that, so that should be quite easy to achieve. And have all my stash catalogued in Ravelry by the end of January. And I've definitely been starting that already. And that's been really good in helping to solidify the fact that I don't need any more yarn. As if.
Excuse me?
Nothing. Actually, while I think of it, just reach over. This is something that came in one of my orders. I don't need more yarn, said no knitter ever. But no.
Right.
But no, I will definitely be trying to stick more to that. And I really want to. It's not just I feel I should or I have to. I actually do want to, because I have a lot of beautiful yarn and I can use that as my own personal yarn store, so why not? Finish or frog or languishing works in progress. As I said, I've already started to have a look at some of the things that are hibernating, and I actually ripped out a little baby booty. I'd knit one about 4 years ago, and I'm just not going to finish it. So everyone I've known who's had a baby since I knit that, it wasn't suitable, so let it go. So I'm going to start doing that.
Seems a bit strange.
I'm also planning to use the things that I do want to finish. I'm going to hold off to finish them during Stash Dash, which is the knit along that the Knit Girls run over the American summer, so during winter here, where the yardage or meterage of all your projects counts, and you have to, or the goal is to get 5 kilometres worth of yarn finished, and that means you can use anything that you've already started. So
it's a big challenge.
And I know I've got at least one shawl that I want to finish. It's the Whippoorwill shawl, and I definitely want to finish that. It's just one of those things that got put aside and has never gotten finished. So I'm definitely going to use that as part of my Stash Dash goal. So I will be ripping anything that is not staying and then holding on to finish for those later in the year. Continue to perfect my sock making, so for perfect fit for me. So I think I'm getting there. At the moment I do usually 60 stitches on 2.5mm needles, which I think is a US 1.5 needle. And that seems to be working quite well, so I'm going to make a couple more pairs and check the fit and see how that goes. I think your perfect fit is 64.
Oh, I got some gorgeous socks for Christmas.
Have you worn them yet?
No.
No, it's summer here, so it's hard to
Very
wear
hot.
wool socks, but yeah, whatever, we'll get there. Charity knitting, as I was saying, we do that as part of the craft group I have at work, so I'll definitely be continuing with that. Work steadily on my Cozy Memories blanket. That's the sock yarn scrap blanket. It's based on the pattern by Shelley Kang. And I've put at least 1 square per week, so that's not very much, but I think if I at least do that, anything else is a bonus. But I would definitely like to get that growing. I've been sent a lot of beautiful yarn by fibre friends, so I'd love to get that into the project as well. Knit cables, as I said, that was on last year. One of the things I want to make soon is the graceful pullover for my niece, and that has cabling up the front, so that will be a good project to get that happening. It's going to be very pretty tonal pink, so she'll like that.
Oh, gorgeous.
Oh, don't listen. Knitted presents for Mum. Birthday, Mother's Day and Christmas.
Oh.
What? I want to knit a toy fox for myself because the lovely Julia 9crafty11 gave me a pattern for my birthday last year and I still haven't had time to make it for me, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to make a conjunction cowl, which very, very kindly I was gifted, which I'll go through an acquisition, so hold that thought. Make that for one for myself and one for my cousin. I want to make birthday socks for Damien, Dorian and Sophie. I want to make a beanie for Damien and for my brother. I'm going to make a tam hat for Sophie, which again will come up in acquisitions for the pattern. Winter socks for Damien using the worsted weight yarn, probably the one I showed you last time, which was the No Makers doppelganger set in the worsted weight. Some black rainbow arm warmers for Sophie. You may have seen on Instagram that she really loved the stripy socks that I gave her for Christmas, and I have some leftover yarn, so she said she'd like some arm warmers made of the same. Socks for some other people that are sort of close family friends. Jumpers and cardigans. So I want to make the 3-in-1 pullover for Sophie, the graceful pullover for my niece, and for me I'd like to make the mama vertebrae, the hutafude and the featherweight cardigan.
Please explain.
They're just the names of the patterns.
Right.
Yes. So those are on my list. Shawls are on my list, especially the seafoam shawlette, which is going to come up in Needle Adjacent. Pebble Beach, which was kindly gifted to me by the lovely Kim. The Hupper, which is one of Mel Ski's patterns, and the BFF cowl with Jana, which is one where you do 2 halves and send the other half to the friend and join them together. Yes.
Very good.
Tube socks for my nephew's second cousin, the one who didn't get them for Christmas. I want to do a knitted dinosaur for my nephew for his birthday in March. And if I have time, I want to do some kitty vertebrae for some little people that I know. So that's quite a list, isn't it?
It is.
Yes, but it's very specific.
I might have to help.
Oh, yes, good. You can start learning to knit.
Yes.
It's quite specific because, you know, some goals are just things like knit cables, but then others, I've used it almost as a sort of a cue. So it's projects that I definitely want to knit as well. So those are the 2015 goals. So maybe we'll check in, maybe we'll do a quarterly update and see how I'm going just to keep me accountable. What do you think?
Sounds like a plan.
And Mum, what are your crafting goals for this year?
Well, I'm going to make some Christmas ornaments. I love Christmas ornaments. And then I'm going to put a big effort into finishing my quilt and put the backing on it. And then I can have it on my bed and it will be beautiful.
Gorgeous. And what kind of ornaments are you planning to make? What kind of craft?
Well, I have an awful lot of fairies. Been collecting Christmas fairies for a long time, so maybe something on the boys' theme, you know, reindeers or something like that, you know, animals.
And are you going to do like felt or knitted, or what kind of, like how are you actually going to make them? I haven't got that far yet.
got that far yet. That's a work in progress type situation.
Yes. Yeah, I know we had a thread up in the group, which I'll go through in a moment, of people's goals, crafting goals, and a few people were saying they wanted to make at least one Christmas ornament each month, so when it comes to December they've got at least 12 in a pile, so you can do that maybe.
Well, that's right, and if you do that, then when Christmas comes, you've got all these beautiful gifts to give to family and friends.
Yes. Very good. And are you going to not buy any yarn this year?
No.
Okay, good. I think we should all be on the same page with that.
We just won't tell each other.
That's right, yes.
We'll keep it under the bed.
Yes. There's no room under the bed.
Is it already full of
wool? Not quite. The stash hasn't left this zone yet, so as long as I can contain it here, we should be okay. Prizes. We have 3 prizes to give away today, which is very exciting. What a fun way to start the year. So first off, our draw was for the posting your goals for 2015, which we just spoke about. Now I have just locked the thread, so if you are currently trying to look at it while I'm recording, which you won't be when you're watching this, but anyway, if you in the past, when you're watching this, was trying to get on the thread and you noticed it was locked, I've only locked it just so I could do the prize draw. After that, I'm going to reopen it, because if anyone else still wants to list their goals, Or then if people want to update the status of their goals, then the thread will be open to do so. You don't have to, it's just if you'd like to. So the prize we had for this thread was this gorgeousness from the Cybox Craft Room. It's in the Sparklate Gold base in the Pleiades colourway. That is 75 superwash merino, 20% nylon, 5% gold stellina, fingering weight. Gorgeous, 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 and Mum has taken quite a shine to it. She said it goes with her top. But we will be still handing it over to the winner. And the winner for this one was Cindy from Colorado, whose Ravelry name is Cozy Couch. So congratulations, Cindy. Yeah. Please send me a PM on Ravelry and I will get that in the post to you. I think you'll have to take it off you, I'm afraid, Mum. Okay, the next one was for our 800 member thread. We're nearly at 900 members, so welcome everyone who's new, and we'll have another prize draw for them. So, our 800 member thread, this is a gorgeous project bag from the Silver Shed USA. It's got wonderful padding, nice bright things, isn't that well made?
Yeah, oh
Gorgeous.
Look at that.
And our third prize was for a digital virtual prize, which was the beautiful Confederation Park cross-stitch top, a lovely pattern donated to us by Katie from Nekozuki Yarns, who's the designer. And she will be sending a copy of that to Anne, who is Haryana. So yay! Congratulations. And thank you very much, Katie, for that generous donation, and to Anne from Silver Shed USA, and to Megan from the Cybox Craft Room. Thank you so much. We really appreciate all your beautiful donated prizes. If there is anyone out there who has an indie shop or pattern designer, anything who'd love to give us something to give away, I will happily receive it and pass it on. So thank you very much. Congratulations to all our winners, and there'll be, as I said, another prize draw soon for our 900 member giveaway. Only 1.5 finished objects this week. The ones that are finished I don't actually have with me. They were the little arm warmers I was making for my niece, so you saw them sort of half finished last time, and she was a very, very happy recipient of those. The day I gave them to her was, I think, the day before New Year's Eve. It was 39 degrees Celsius here, which is well over 100 Fahrenheit. Do you know what it is specifically? No, well over 100, so very, very hot and sweaty. But she put them on straight away, so, you know, and then when I said, do you want to take them off? You're a bit hot. She goes, if I take them off, I will get cold. Okay. So I will put in a photo of her wearing them. And I have, as I said, 1.5. The other one is a hoe, half object, one of Damien's socks. So this is sort of just a basic sock recipe that I used. It's a knit 3 purl 1 rib that goes all the way down the foot. And then the Fish Lips Kiss heel, which of course is my favourite go-to heel. And I held the yarn double for the heel to give it a bit more thickness. And I just finished those last night and tried them on him, and they fit perfectly. This is using Lorna's Lace's Soulmate, which has the Outlast. That's a type of fibre that NASA and race car drivers use, and it controls heat and cool.
Wow.
So yes, very fancy. And this is the bigger on the inside colourway, which is the Doctor Who reference. So I'll have the other one done very shortly, which I'll show you in works in progress. And the first work in progress, oh, I don't even have it with me, so I've only done about that much of the ribbing, so here you go, let's pretend. So that's how much I've done of the second sock of that. This one is in still a Christmas bag, because they were technically a Christmas present, from a homespun house with a gorgeous little teacup. See the teacup?
Oh, beautiful.
Yes, and a little bell. So still going with those. Now, other work in progress that I'm nearly finished, but I sort of got distracted, was my candy cane socks. So I started these for myself November, I think, but then I sort of had to put them aside to get Christmas presents done. So this is Stray Cat sock yarn, self-striping. They're out of New Zealand. They had previously given us a prize for one of our giveaways as well. Really good workhorse yarn, sort of it's got a similar feel to opal, but beautiful, beautiful colours. So I'm nearly done with the second one. As you can see, I think I'm just about ready to go into the red, and then from there I'll be using a coordinating yarn, just a solid red, to do the base of the toe, and I also did the same for the heels. So got quite a bit left over. These are the ones that when the ball is full it looks like the everlasting gobstopper with all the stripes, but then underneath they're just all... Mum loves all the terminology.
I'm just imagining putting that in your mouth.
So these are both Stray Cat sock yarn. You can buy the coordinating colours as well. So that won't take me too long, I think, because then I've, as I said, just got the toe pretty much. So hopefully even this weekend, and I can show you them as a finished object next time. These are in my Tangerine Designs little Love Animals bag. The cool inside lining. I think that's cute.
It's gorgeous.
Yes. So that's that one. It's all socks today, actually. These two, got one sock in each, are my Christmas Eve socks. So the ones that were cast on Christmas Eve as part of the Little Bobbins Knits podcast Christmas Eve cast-along. I can say that twice. So,
Pardon?
This yarn is from Fibre Nymph Dye Works, and it's in the Bounce Base and the Inversible set in Black and Orchid. So this is the one that's reversed. So we have this one, black with purple stripes, and purple with black stripes. What do you think, Mama?
Well, purple is one of my favourite colours. Oh, I love that one. That's gorgeous.
Yes. And this is using the Swirl E stripe pattern, which is a free pattern on Ravelry by Susie White, who's Prairie Girl Susie. And you can see it's got, oops, get the tail out of the way, these gorgeous diagonal stripes of the knit pattern that then go with very nicely with your self-striping yarn. And of course, as I said last time, you can use with any yarn, but it just looks particularly good with the self-striping.
Gorgeous.
Very
Absolutely
nice.
Gorgeous.
Nice base, very squishy, the bounce base. And again, I've done the Fish Lips Kiss heel. Haven't got to it on this one. So I knit concurrently so that I don't have to finish one whole sock and then have another whole sock to do, second sock syndrome. Do you like that term?
What is it?
Second sock syndrome.
I've never had one of those.
Now, you may be asking, why didn't I do that with these ones for Damien? Because I held the yarn double for the heel, I had to take the yarn from both ends of the ball. So I could have wound two balls, but I didn't want to bother separating it. So in this case, I'm just going to have to get on with it. But I don't actually mind, because I really quite like working with this Soulmate. Just to go back to this one. It's sort of got a crispness to it, because it does have, I think it's 40% wool. Hang on, sorry, I'll see if I've got the tag. I do. It is, 55% superwash merino wool, 15% nylon, and then 30% of the Outlast fabric. That's the tag there. So it has a crispness that feels different, but I do enjoy it, and it goes quite nicely on the needle, so I think it'll be quite pleasant to do the second one. This sock, this purple one, I actually took with me on New Year's Eve, so they're both Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, when we went down to the marina. While the girls were swimming and while we were just sitting, Damien and I had some deck chairs, and I just took my knitting, and I got a very nice photo of my knitting with the last sunset of the last year. So that was quite nice. So I'll have to work a bit more on this one. As I said, I'm not even up to the heel yet, but I was doing this, it's a really easy pattern. It's very easy to read where you're up to. So I was doing, I think, the heel and from there down last night while I was watching movies. So that's those ones, and the bags they are living in is this one, the Yarn Bath. See, she's in a bath of yarn, which is from Villains on Etsy. And I actually have another Villains bag on its way that I got for Christmas, but it didn't arrive in time. And then this one, which is the Christmas theme bag, so the Christmas Eve socks. This one is from Suburban Stitcher. You can see it's like a blackboard, but
oh yes, gorgeous.
And so that's those. So they're nearly finished. I think they'll definitely be ready to show you as a finished object for the next episode. So I'll jinx next one is the one I was going to cast on New Year's Day, but then by the time I found the needles, I had just really moved on and needed to do something else. So I have the yarn all ready to go. This is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful skein, gorgeous Australian dyer in the top drawer sock base in the colourway Sterling. So it's like a gorgeous silver tonal grey.
It's very soft.
And it's 75 superwash merino, 85 superwash merino, 15 nylon.
Gorgeous. Blends in beautifully with my...
Everything's matching you today, Mum. You'll have to come over more often. And part of the pattern I'm going to be using, the pattern I'm going to be using is the Seafoam Shawlette, which is by Crafts and the Quitch. And I'll just fold it down to make, it's a paid for pattern, so I just want to make sure I'm not showing anything. But this is the shawl and various ways you can use it. So as you can see, hopefully, there's a little button you can put on it. I don't know if you can see it, but I'll link to the pattern so you can see the project photos. So you can actually move the button around and use it to make like a little shrug, or you can wear it as a scarf or a shawl. And this I'll be making with my knitting buddy Jana. Sorry, I just elbowed you. Hey. Jana, who is Jana Nav, and we met on Ravelry through the Single-Handed Knits Buddy knit-along a couple of years ago, and we've stayed very firm friends. And last year we did a personal shawl cowl where Jana chose the pattern and the yarn, and we made the Dragonfly Shawlette. I think that's what it was called. I've just suddenly gone blank. And she sent us some Blue Moon Fibre Arts, and that was gorgeous. So this time it's my turn, and we were supposed to do this last year, and I got terribly busy with my Christmas knitting. So Jana very graciously said we should do it for the first project of the year. So I chose the skein yarn because I wanted to have something Australian, and hey, skein. So I've got this beautiful sterling colour, and Jana has one called Tea, which is a gorgeous brown in tones. So we'll be studying those soon. Part of the pattern you need some stitch markers, and I'll be using these ones. I'll pull them out of the jar, but I just want to show you the little jar. These are from Little Skein in the Big Wool. I love her project. Stitch markers, all her things, really, all her bags. See,
they're pretty, gorgeous.
So I'll hold them up. So there we go, put it on my head. Now these were called Poison Apple, because there's the Poison Apple there. So most of them are red with red. And then there's this one that's red with black. So like a Snow White theme, Poison Apple. Now I actually have two of the black ones. And that's because Anne of Little Skein is very, very lovely. And I actually lost my one with the black marker that came with the set. So I wrote to her and I said, you know, is it possible for me to buy the separate one just so I can make up my set, because that's mostly why I liked this set. I mean, the red and red, it's red, hey? But the red with black, very cool. And Anne was so generous and actually just sent them to me as a gift. She sent me 2 black ones and 2 extra red ones as well. So thank you so much, Anne. Beautiful products, gorgeous customer service. I highly recommend Little Skein in the Big Wool on Etsy. I'll definitely put that in the show notes, of course. And when you buy her stitch markers, you can choose how they come. So you can get them in this little glass jar, or you can get a little tin, or you can just get them on a card, and you actually a little discount code for the shop with that. So that's what I'll be using. And beautiful project bag that I'll be using. You'll like this one. This is one that the lovely Julia, 9crafty11, sent me as a gift. And Julia, you need to make an Etsy shop. These are fabulous bags. So as you can see, it's open flat like that. And I'll show you the pictures. Sort of steampunk sewing on them.
Oh, that is absolutely gorgeous.
Handmade for me.
I've never seen, well, obviously I've never seen anything like it, but it's absolutely gorgeous.
And the design is fabulous because, see, you pull in the drawstring and the way she's made it, the panels stay stiff and you can use the pockets as well as seeing the gorgeous pictures. So just perfect, Julie. You need to sell these. Gorgeous. So this is my needle adjacent, and I'll be casting that on sometime this weekend. That will be something we'll be making in January. Okay, we can talk about our knit along, but first we're going to show you Mum's lovely cup. So this one is from Kyoto. It's from Starbucks. So when I lived in Japan, I got a Starbucks mug from every big city that I went to, and I lived in near Kobe, which is sort of near Osaka and Kyoto. And when Mum came to visit me, Kyoto was her favourite city in Japan, so I give her this special one when she comes over sometimes.
Yes, the amazing craft was just wonderful to see the degree of perfection in their work. It was just beautiful. So I might hang on to this.
Oh. And I know Ichigo Knit and Saratoga Knit have recently talked about Kyoto in their latest episode of Ichigo Abroad, and there's actually a knit-along happening in that group where you can win a gorgeous little padded kimono fabric with a cat on it, little notions bag. So go and check out Ichigo Abroad thread on Ravelry for the Treat Yourself knit-along, where you knit anything for yourself in January, and you can win that Kyoto bag, so we'll have to win. And we're actually re-recording this little bit about the knit-along, so as you can see I've already taken my brooch off, so if you suddenly notice it's disappeared, that's why. So we are having our own knit-along in our group for the Lehua Scarfette, which is this wonderful pattern from M Ski Knits, Mel from the With Mel podcast and blog. And this is a pattern that she designed and has put out as one of her free pattern Fridays, which is every so often on a Friday, once a month usually, just depending. She will put out a free pattern. So the pattern can actually be found on her blog, which I'll of course put in the show notes, rather than it being a Ravelry download. So this one she designed, and she actually said when she released it that she did it in red because it was inspired by me and wearing red.
Wow.
So there you go. So no surprises, I will be making mine in red. And this is the yarn.
Gorgeous.
And it's the tomato soup colourway. It's from Handmaiden, and the base is 70% silk and 30% sea cell. So sea cell is a fibre made with seaweed, which is very cool, and it's just gorgeous.
Beautiful.
So for yours, you can use any kind of yarn. The pattern calls for an Aran weight, but it's a sort of shawl or scarfette that you could use anything and just adjust your needle size and stitch count accordingly. The yarn it originally called for was the Tilly Thomas Plie, which unfortunately has been discontinued, it would seem, because I couldn't find any. But that was a silk content, which is why I chose this one, just to get as close as possible. But as I said, you can use any yarn at all. So I'm really looking forward to that. We have a chatter thread already set up in the Ravelry group, and from that chatter thread we will be having having a prize draw from the participation. So if you just join in, doesn't matter if you finish or not, you can still be eligible for a prize. And we will also have a thread for the finished objects, so there'll be 2 prizes on offer, and those are the prizes here. So one person will win this beautiful skein from White Birch Fibre Arts, and the colourway is Nothing Says Screw You Like a Rainbow, which Mum thinks is very funny. So this is self-striping, and it goes a chunk of rainbow, then blue like the sky, chunk of rainbow, blue. And it's what you call, I think it was a dynamic self-striping, I think that was the word I heard usually. So instead of it being a solid colour, the colours sort of gradiate and a bit tonal, so it's really, really lovely. So that's that prize, and with that one, you'll also get a little keychain from No Makers. It's a little mini skein. This colourway is No Place Like Gnome, and you also get a little temporary tattoo from No Makers as well. So that's one prize. And the other prize is this beautiful project bag from Suburban Stitcher. That's the top of the bag and then goes down, and I won't open it up. And also get a little keychain from No Makers. This one is in the Smell My Feet colour, and a little temporary tattoo as well. So those are the 2 prizes, one for the participation thread, one for the finished object thread. Acquisitions, we don't have very many this week because, you know, I don't buy yarn anymore. I bought a bit of yarn towards the end of the year, so that'll come in a future episode. Anyway, I do have some yarn to show you because we were sent a lovely donation for a future prize. This is from Fab Funky Fibres on Etsy, and this colourway is Batman Stripes. So it's self-striping and it's Batman. Yeah. And it comes in 2 little skeins, so you can do 2 socks, either 2 at a time or concurrently. So thank you very much, Fab Funky Fibres. We'll be having those as a future prize. Something else I got recently is this book, Ami Risu, which if you watch Ichigo Abroad, Sophia has talked about this. It's a Japanese publication, but it's done half in English and half in Japanese. Oh, sorry, I won't show you a pattern. That's just an example there. So you've got the English and the Japanese text. And Ami Risu, they have a shop in Kyoto as well. And this has got some patterns, some articles, and just beautiful, beautiful photos. So I'm not sure if I'll be making any of the patterns. I haven't really had a good look at it, to be honest. But just beautiful photography. There's some information. They did a retreat, so up in Kyoto Mountains. Gorgeous. So that's very beautiful. So you can buy that through Etsy. I think they may also have an online shop. But really beautiful, so it's just sort of a nice coffee table book. It is a magazine, but it's a smaller size, and it's just a beautiful book to have. So thank you, Sophia, for putting me onto that. And I was very generously gifted as a New Year present from Rebecca, who is Westerly Whimsies. She gave me the Conjunction Cow pattern, which is the one by Susie White, Prairie Girl Susie. And as I mentioned, that was already actually on my goal list. So thank you, Rebecca, very exciting. I'm going to make one for me as well as one for my cousin. Don't listen, cousin.
I'm your mum.
Well, don't tell her. You're getting other stuff.
Right.
And I also won a pattern through the Stitch by Stitch videocast group. Kim had a thread going of whip wrangling. Whip is work in progress, WIP.
Right.
And I managed to finish all 3 things that I had put there. That was mum's socks, the snail for my nephew, and the little shrug for my niece. So as you know, they all got finished in time for Christmas, and myself and one other person finished all our goals, so we could choose a prize, either a woolly worm head pattern or some fibre. Now, as I haven't fallen down the rabbit hole of spinning just yet, I went for the pattern. And the one I chose was a hat called Symmetry, and the pattern page has one in blacks and reds, so no wonder my eye was drawn to it, but it's actually the sort of style of hat, sort of like a tam, that I mentioned I wanted to make for Sophie because she's requested a hat like that. And I do have some lovely black and red yarn that I will be using for that one, so that worked out very nicely. So, yay! So, what has been spinning me right round lately? We've got a couple of books that Mum's very excited to look at. This one is, I'll just angle it that way, Annie and the Swiss Cheese Scarf by Alana Dacos. And this is one I mentioned in my little Christmas mini episode, or was it last episode? Anyway, in a previous video, that I've been reading to my little niece Emma and using it to help her learn to knit. So the premise behind this is Annie does some knitting with holes in it, but then she triumphs through adversity by practicing and learns to knit. So Emma loves this. We've read it several times. Whenever she comes over, we read it, and then she has a go with her knitting. So there's that one. And this is another book that both my niece and nephew really like, Extra Yarn. So this is the story of a girl who has a box of yarn that never runs out. So she makes jumpers for everyone, including houses and animals. Beautiful work. So it's very nice to have knitting-themed storybooks to read to the little ones when they come over. And this one especially is good because it actually helped us. It's got the little rhyme about learning to practice knitting, so that was very good. I will just check my notes. What else? What else do we have? Ah, that's right. So as I said, Sophie got her first pair of hand-knitted socks for Christmas. They were knit with the Manic Pixie Dream yarn in the colourway Dream and Delirium the Endless, obviously. And those were a thick strip of black and then a thick strip of rainbow, just repeated. And she was wearing them for the first time the other day, and she put them on before we were ready to go out, and she just came and sat next to me and just goes, I know the awesomeness of hand knit socks now. These just feel so amazing. And I thought, big tick to me and to her for knowing. So she's definitely knit worthy, always has been, of course. I've knit her previous things, but she knows the power of the knit sock. She's in the club. And a few other things. Thank you to everyone for your great recommendations of audio podcasts that I asked for last time. I'm slowly making my way through. I like to listen to a couple of episodes, so I'll tell you about those once I get to them. Some that I have been listening to are Stash and Burn. That's a really good one. I'm listening to the past episodes of those. One I just found this morning is the Knit Sip podcast. So it's a drinking theme, not drinking alcohol necessarily, just drinks themed knitting podcast, and that is by Shannon, who is Snow Testine on Ravelry. And I just want to say thank you very much, Shannon, for giving a review of my podcast on your podcast. It was very lovely, very kind words, so thank you for that. And I'll put a link to both of those. And a new video podcast that I've been wanting to look at for a while, and I only just got around to, is Pink Hair Girl Knits. And that one is set in South Africa, so that's another different location again. And that's Sally Jane, and she's wonderful, so definitely check her out. And I'll be catching up on the previous episodes of those. I believe she's up to episode 20, so I've got a few to catch up on, which is very exciting. And what else have we got, Mama? Oh, that's right. I don't know if anyone saw on the Converse website in America, there was Converse shoes with knitted fabric. I know everyone was getting them, it seemed, on Ravelry. On Instagram. I logged on, I clicked them, put them in my basket. Then I saw they also had DC Comic ones, and you could custom them. And I got Harley Quinn. You could put your name on the back. It said YarnderWoman. Perfect, just perfect. Put it all in my cart, went through. You could only buy them if you lived in America. Why? Take my money, Converse. So that was very disappointing. So if anyone, wants to send me shoes, let me know and I'll send you the money. They were just so cool. It's not fair.
Oh dear. Never mind.
I know. I'll try and move on. But knitted shoes, customizable Harley Quinn shoes. Hello. Anyway, I'll try and move on. I'll try. I may need a stiff drink, but I'll try. Anyway, the final thing that I'd like to tell you about is actually a film that was shot and directed and made generally in Perth. This is actually directed by the brother of my best friend, and his name is Zach Hilditch, and the film is called These Final Hours. It's not a cheery film. The premise is that a meteor has hit the Earth and it's gradually destroying the whole planet. And the film is set around the last 12 hours before it reaches Perth, so what follows a certain character and what he does. Really, really good. Really good production values, very interesting storyline, and I highly recommend it. So, These Final Hours. It's also quite funny because in most disaster movies, which usually made and set in America, it's funny when they show a world map that's happening in the storyline, and it shows, Europe, United States, America, all these countries and continents. They never show Australia, so we always joke, Damien and I, that, if a disaster hits, Australia's clearly going to be fine because it never seems to have any problems in the movies. So this one, it's actually set in Perth, and it shows you from the Perth perspective. So that's pretty cool because you can see the Perth city, so it's quite fun seeing places you actually know in a movie because we don't usually have that here. There's not that much that's set in Perth. I don't think it'll be your thing, Mum.
No, I'm not into all of that.
No. But it's not gory or showing a lot of bad stuff. It's more the sort of human side of it. There is a little bit of gore, don't get me wrong, but not hugely. So if you're squeamish, you should be fine. But it's, one of those, what would you do for the last 12 hours if you knew that was it? On that cheery note... And with with that, I think we've had quite a long episode today, so we should sign off. So you can find all the show notes on the blog, which is www.YarnderWoman.blogspot.com.au. There'll also be a thread for this episode in the Ravelry group, so you can put any comments you like in there. Go and check out the Lehua Scarfette Cowl thread. A lot of words there. And get planning on what you'd like to use for your project. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for coming along, Mama.
Thank you for having me. I always get a lot of entertainment out of being sitting here and listening to all these wonderful things.
And I always tell Mum that all her fans like seeing us, so you're gracing them with your presence.
Yes, and Happy New Year to everybody.
Oh yes, definitely. May 2015 be everything you want it to be. Think about your crafting goals as well as other goals. Oh, that's right. I know that Helen from the Curious Handmade podcast, I was listening to her recently, and she said instead of making New Year's resolutions, she chooses a word for the year. So I was thinking about that, and I thought my word could be enough, as in realising when you have enough, both yarn and food, making sure you do enough things, all the good things in life and exercise, time with family and friends. And I think that might be my overarching word for the year. What do you think?
Sounds very good.
Excellent. And with that, that might be enough for today. Have a wonderful day, whatever you are doing, and happy crafting. Bye.